The long-range sensors at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station beeped loudly. Danielle Wright looked up from her coffee. She had been working the night shift for 3 years now, and nothing interesting ever happened. Until tonight. "What do we have?" she asked, walking over to her colleague's station. John Miller pointed at his screen. "Signal from the Orion arm. It's not random. There's a pattern." Danielle leaned closer. The signal was indeed structured, repeating in ways that natural, cosmic phenomena never did. Her heart beat faster. After 15 years heading Earth's Interstellar Communication Division, this might be it. First contact. "Run it through the decoder," she ordered, keeping her voice steady despite her excitement. The computer worked for several minutes. Finally, words appeared on the screen. "Greetings from the Nigma Empire. We come to establish diplomatic relations with your world." Within hours, the United Nations Space Command was assembled in the underground facility in Geneva. Admiral Frank Cooper paced the room as the message played again for the gathered officials. "What do we know about these Nigma?" he asked. Danielle stood up. "Nothing yet, sir. This is our first contact with them. The message originated from approximately 12 light-years away, but the signal technology is advanced. They're on their way here." The room filled with murmurs. Earth had been preparing for alien contact for decades, but theory was different from reality. "How long until they arrive?" asked a gray-haired woman at the end of the table. "Based on the signal strength changes, they have faster-than-light capability. Best estimate is 3 months," Danielle replied. Admiral Cooper nodded. "We need to send a response. Something diplomatic but clear about our position." For 2 days, the best minds on Earth worked on the message. They needed to be welcoming but not weak. Earth had developed its technology rapidly in the last century, particularly its defensive capabilities, but they had no idea how they compared to the Nigma. The final message was simple. "People of Earth welcome peaceful contact with the Nigma Empire. We look forward to mutual respect and cooperation. Be advised that our solar system's defense capabilities are not to be tested." 3 weeks later, they received a response. Alan Patterson, the team's xenolinguistics expert, frowned as he studied. "What's wrong?" Danielle asked, noticing his expression. "The phrasing," Alan said, pointing to specific patterns in the alien text. "There's a form of language here that suggests superiority, like how you might talk to a child." He pulled up the translation. "The mighty Nigma Empire acknowledges your greeting. We will arrive to begin the process of incorporating your world into our glorious expansion. Prepare appropriate welcome ceremonies." Admiral Cooper read it twice. "They either have a very different understanding of diplomacy, or they're not coming for diplomacy at all," Danielle finished. The orbital defense platforms around Earth were quietly brought to yellow alert. The moon base activated its long-dormant weapon systems. Mars colony was evacuated except for military personnel. The deep space radar system detected the Nigma fleet changing course directly toward Earth 1 month later. "How many ships?" Admiral Cooper asked during the emergency meeting. 27, that we can track," replied Captain Paul Davis from Orbital Command. "The lead ship is massive, approximately 3 miles long." The room fell silent. Earth's largest vessels were barely a quarter of that size. "What are our options?" the United Nations Secretary General asked. Admiral Cooper displayed the defense grid on the main screen. "We have 3 rings of defense. Outer system automated platforms around Jupiter and Saturn, the Mars perimeter, and Earth orbital, plus the solar flare countermeasures if needed." "Let's hope we don't need those," Danielle said quietly. The solar flare protocol was Earth's last resort, a series of weapons that could destabilize a star. 2 days later, a smaller Nigma vessel separated from the main fleet, accelerating ahead. "They're sending someone to talk," Alan said. "That's potentially good news." The vessel entered Earth orbit with surprising speed. A single shuttle descended, landing at the designated diplomatic zone outside Geneva. The alien that emerged was tall, nearly 7 feet, with iridescent purple skin that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. It had 4 arms and walked with an unmistakable air of authority. I am Ambassador Zortak of the glorious Nigma Empire, it announced in perfect English. I come to prepare you for your new status as a protectorate world. The Earth delegation, led by Richard Grayson, Earth's head diplomat, maintained their composure. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. We look forward to discussing mutual cooperation between our civilizations. Richard said carefully. The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. There is no mutual here. The Nigma Empire does not cooperate. We rule. You will find our terms generous, compared to resistance. Richard's expression didn't change. Perhaps you misunderstood our earlier message. Earth does not submit to outside rule. We welcome friends, not masters. Ambassador Zortak's eyes narrowed. Your primitive world has no concept of what you face. The Nigma fleet has conquered 100 worlds, some more advanced than yours. And yet our message was clear, Richard replied. Any hostility toward Earth will be met with force beyond your comprehension. The ambassador laughed openly now. Your quaint threat is noted. I will remain here to observe your world's submission when our fleet arrives. Prepare your leaders to transfer authority in 10 of your Earth days. As the meeting concluded, Olivia Martinez, the xenobiologist assigned to the first contact team, took detailed scans of the ambassador. Back in her lab, she studied the results, with growing concern. They're engineered for conquest, she told Danielle later that night. Their cellular structure, their muscle density, even their brain chemistry, it's all been modified for aggression and dominance. Meanwhile, Captain Benjamin Hall on the orbital defense platform Aegis detected unusual energy signatures from the ambassador's shuttle. They're scanning everything, he reported to Admiral Cooper. Our defense grid, our power systems, our communication networks. The Admiral nodded grimly. As expected, they're preparing for conquest, not conversation. That night, Earth's military leaders met in the secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. The decision was unanimous. Admiral Cooper sent the authorization code that activated the Poseidon Protocol, Earth's hidden defense system that had been built over the last 50 years in preparation for exactly this scenario. As the massive Nigma fleet approached Mars, Admiral Cooper sent one final message. Nigma Empire, you have ignored our warning. You have 10 hours to reverse course and leave our solar system. What follows will be of your own making. The response came quickly. Primitive threats from a primitive world. Prepare for the honor of serving the Nigma Empire. Admiral Cooper looked at the gathered leaders of Earth's unified defense force. They've made their choice, he said quietly. Now they'll learn why we warned them. The Nigma fleet entered the Mars orbital zone with weapons charged. Their massive ships dwarfed the small research outposts scattered across the red planet. The first plasma bursts destroyed 3 stations before anyone could sound an alarm. In Dubai-Sint-Soten, the underground command center on Earth, Admiral Cooper watched the feeds with a cold expression. They've killed 217 people, he said quietly. The room remained silent. Everyone knew this was coming, but seeing it happen still felt unreal. Danielle Wright stepped forward. Sir, we've intercepted communications from their lead vessel. Supreme Commander Vex Taller is demanding Earth's immediate surrender. Send no response, Admiral Cooper ordered. Maintain communications blackout as planned. On the view screen, the Nigma ships moved past the ruins of the Mars outposts, accelerating toward Earth. They formed a wedge formation, typical of invasion. Forces throughout history. Ambassador Zortak requested an emergency meeting with Earth's United Nations leaders. In the Geneva conference room, the alien appeared even more arrogant than before. Your Mars resistance was pitiful, the ambassador said. Your pathetic defenses will not slow the Nigma fleet. Submit now, and your losses will be minimized. Richard Grayson, representing Earth, remained calm. We had no defenses on Mars. Those were scientific outposts with unarmed researchers. The ambassador's skin rippled with colors that Alan Patterson recognized as amusement. Then you are even weaker than we thought, Zortak said. Richard placed his hands flat on the table. This is your final warning. Leave our system now. Or what? The ambassador laughed. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. Richard stood up. The meeting is over. You have 6 hours to leave Earth orbit and recall your fleet. As Earth's delegation left, Commander Samantha Jones approached Admiral Cooper with a data pad. She had been working for weeks, intercepting and decoding Nigma transmissions. "Sir, I've confirmed our suspicions," she said. "The Nigma have conquered 17 systems before ours. All were less technologically advanced than they appeared to be." The Admiral nodded. "And what happened to those worlds?" Samantha's face darkened. "Total subjugation. Resource extraction until depletion. Genetic harvesting of the population." "As we suspected," Admiral Cooper said. "Have we identified all their vessels?" "Yes, sir. 27 warships, including their command vessel. We've mapped their shield, frequencies and weapons systems." The Admiral checked his watch. "Prepare the Poseidon Protocol, Phase 1 in 2 hours." The massive Nigma fleet entered Earth orbit with surprising speed. Their ships blocked out the sun in some areas, casting long shadows across cities below. People looked up in fear as the alien vessels positioned themselves over major population centers. From the Nigma command ship, Supreme Commander Vex Taylor broadcast his message to Earth. "People of the planet Earth, your world now belongs to the Nigma Empire. Your resources are ours. Your people will serve us. Resistance is both futile and unwise. We have destroyed civilizations far greater than yours." The message played on every screen, on every device across the planet. When it ended, there was only silence. For 30 minutes, nothing happened. The Nigma ships remained in position, waiting for Earth's surrender. When it didn't come, they began charging their main weapons. In his command center, Admiral Cooper looked at the gathered military leaders from around the world. Each nodded in turn. The time for diplomacy had ended. "Activate Poseidon, all phases," he ordered. Around the world, hidden facilities powered up. Deep beneath oceans, buried in mountains and disguised as ordinary buildings, Earth's true defenses awakened. The first sign that something was wrong came when the Nigma ships suddenly lost contact with each other. Their advanced communications network simply stopped working. "What is happening?" Vex Taylor demanded of his officers. "Unknown, Supreme Commander. We are experiencing system failures across the fleet." On the moon, Vice Admiral Kelly Washington gave the order to reveal the lunar base's true nature. What had appeared to be a simple research station split open, revealing massive weapon arrays that had been hidden from view for decades. "Target their lead vessels," she ordered. "Fire when ready." Beams of intense blue energy shot from the lunar surface, cutting through the shields of 3 Nigma ships as if they weren't there. The vessels exploded silently in space. The Nigma fleet responded immediately, turning their weapons toward the moon. But as they fired, something even more surprising happened. From behind Earth's satellite system, 7 massive Earth warships appeared. They had been there all along, hidden by technology the Nigma had never encountered. Captain Peter Russell commanded the lead Earth vessel. "Avalanche. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," he ordered. "Target their engines and shield generators." The Earth ships moved with impossible speed, appearing to blink in and out of existence as they used quantum displacement technology to jump around the battlefield. In Geneva, Ambassador Zortak received the news with disbelief. "Impossible. Your world has no such capabilities." Richard Grayson smiled for the first time. "We warned you. Earth does not make empty threats." From the rings of Saturn, where they had been hiding, another 30 Earth vessels emerged, cutting off the Nigma fleet's escape route. In orbit, the battle was no longer a battle but a slaughter. Earth ships targeted the Nigma vessels with precision, disabling rather than destroying when possible. Supreme Commander Vex Taylor watched in horror as his mighty fleet was taken apart piece by piece. How can this be? They were supposed to be primitives. On his command vessel's screen, Admiral Cooper's face appeared. "You should have heeded our warning." This is impossible," Vex Taylor stammered. "We studied your world for years." "We know," Admiral Cooper replied. "We let you see exactly what we wanted you to see." Realization dawned on the Nigma commander's face. It was a trap. Admiral Cooper nodded. For those who would come to conquer, yes. We've been watching your empire's expansion for decades. We knew you would eventually reach Earth. You planned this? We prepared for it, the Admiral corrected. Your ship is now surrounded. Your fleet is defeated. You have one opportunity to surrender. As the Nigma command ship found itself, encircled by 5 Earth vessels, Supreme Commander Vex Tyler made the only choice he could. The Nigma Empire surrenders, he said through clenched teeth. Within hours, the remaining Nigma ships were contained in Earth's orbit, disabled and under guard. Earth had revealed its true face to the galaxy. They were not the primitive world everyone thought them to be, but a sleeping giant that had just been awakened. The captured Nigma ships hung in Earth orbit like giant purple insects caught in a spider's web. Earth vessels surrounded them, their weapons still powered and ready. After 3 days of silence, Admiral Cooper finally ordered a boarding party to the Nigma command ship. Captain Peter Russell led the team. As they cut through the main airlock, they found no resistance. The Nigma soldiers stood at attention, their forearms held stiffly at their sides. They're just waiting, Peter said over the comlink to Admiral Cooper. Proceed to the bridge, came the reply, but stay alert. The Earth soldiers moved through the massive ship with caution. The Nigma vessel was a marvel of engineering, with corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. Strange organic technology pulsed along the walls. On the bridge, they found Supreme Commander Vex Tyler sitting in a raised chair that looked more like a throne. His purple skin had turned a dull gray. You have achieved what no other world has, the commander said without looking up. The complete defeat of a Nigma battle fleet. Peter kept his weapon ready. By order of Earth's United Defense Council, you are now prisoners of war. You will be treated according to our laws of conflict. Vex Tyler finally raised his head. And what does that mean for us? It means no harm will come to you or your soldiers as long as you cooperate, Peter replied. The Nigma commander seemed confused by this. You will not execute us, extract information through nerve torture? This is unexpected. Back on Earth, Danielle Wright and Alan Patterson worked around the clock to fully translate the Nigma historical records. What they found disturbed them deeply. The Nigma Empire has destroyed over 30 civilizations in the last 200 years, Danielle reported to the United Nations Security Council, and enslaved nearly twice that many. She displayed images on the main screen showing planets stripped of resources, populations forced to work in mines and factories, entire species reduced to servants. Their standard procedure is to appear overwhelming, powerful, demand surrender, and then systematically dismantle any resistance, Alan added. They've never failed before. Richard Grayson leaned forward. So what happens when they do fail? When they're defeated? We don't know, Danielle admitted. There's no record of it ever happening. In the Lunar Base Command Center, Olivia Martinez made an important discovery about Nigma biology. Their neural structure has been artificially modified, she told Vicing. Admiral Washington. They've been engineered not just for conquest, but for absolute loyalty to their empire. Can it be reversed? The Vice Admiral asked. Possibly, Olivia replied. But it would take time and require their cooperation. Meanwhile, Commander Samantha Jones had made contact with one of the worlds previously conquered by the Nigma. The Tellurians, a peaceful race from a star system 12 light-years away, had been under Nigma control for 30 years. Our people suffer under their rule, the Tellurian representative said via the quantum communication link. But we had given up hope of ever being free again. That's about to change, Samantha promised. 7 days after the battle, Earth made a decision about what to do with the Nigma fleet. Admiral Cooper met with world leaders to present the plan. We have 3 options, he said. Keep them as prisoners indefinitely, try to rehabilitate them, or use them to free the worlds they've conquered. After much debate, they chose the third option. Admiral Cooper traveled to the orbiting Nigma command ship to meet with Supreme Commander Vex Tyler. The alien leader had not eaten for days and looked weakened. Your empire is built on conquest and suffering, Admiral Cooper said bluntly. This ends now. Vexitaler's 4 hands gripped the arms of his chair. You cannot destroy an empire that spans 50 star systems. We don't need to, the Admiral replied. You're going to do it for us. The plan was bold. The captured Nigma ships would be fitted with Earth oversight systems. Skeleton crews of Nigma soldiers, supervised by Earth personnel, would pilot the vessels back to Nigma-controlled worlds. There, they would announce the defeat of their fleet and the new terms of their existence. Supreme Commander Vexitaler laughed bitterly when he heard this. My people will never agree to this. They will fight to the death. Then they will die, Admiral Cooper said simply. But I don't think it will come to that. We've been studying your neural modifications. Your soldiers follow orders absolutely, don't they? Even orders they don't like? The commander's face showed that this was true. So they will follow your orders to stand down, to release their conquered worlds, to end the empire, Admiral Cooper continued. Unless you'd prefer we demonstrate our capabilities on your home world as well. It wasn't an idle threat. Earth had revealed only a fraction of its true military technology. The quantum displacement drives that allowed their ships to appear and disappear across the battlefield were just the beginning. 2 weeks later, the first mission launched. 3 Nigma vessels, now under Joint Nigma-Earth Command, set course for the nearest conquered world, Telluria. Captain Peter Russell commanded the Earth contingent aboard the lead ship. Beside him stood a subdued Vex Taylor. You still don't understand how this happened, do you? Peter asked as they watched Earth shrink behind them. Your world should have been primitive, the Nigma commander said. Our scouts observed your technology for decades. You had barely achieved spaceflight when we first found you? Peter smiled. What you saw was what we wanted you to see. Earth learned long ago that showing your true strength can be dangerous. It attracts challengers. But appearing weak while being strong, that reveals your enemies. As their ship entered faster-than-light travel, Vexitaler considered this. A trap 200 years in the making. Longer, Peter corrected. We've been preparing for threats like the Nigma since we first looked to the stars. On Earth, Admiral Cooper watched the ships depart. Beside him, Danielle Wright looked concerned. Will it work? She asked. Will they really free those worlds? They have no choice, the Admiral replied. Earth has shown what happens when our warnings are ignored. In the vast network of conquered systems that formed the Nigma Empire, word was already spreading. Earth had done the impossible. The invincible Nigma fleet had been defeated. For the first time in centuries, the oppressed worlds of the Nigma Empire felt something they had forgotten: hope. The arrival of the Nigma ships at Telluria caused immediate panic. For 30 years, the sight of those purple vessels had meant only suffering for the Tellurians. The planet's defense systems, long under Nigma control, targeted the approaching ships. They're preparing to fire on us, Peter Russell noted calmly from the bridge of the lead vessel. Supreme Commander Vexitaler stood stiffly beside him. They believe we are here to punish them for some imagined offense. This is normal procedure. Peter nodded to the communications officer. Open a channel. On the view screen, a frightened Tellurian face appeared. The alien had blue skin with small ridges along its forehead and large, expressive eyes currently wide with fear. This is Captain Peter Russell of Earth, he said before Vexitaler could speak. We come with news that will change your world. The Tellurian governor blinked in confusion. Earth? We have no record of this world. They wouldn't, Vexitaler said quietly to Peter. Knowledge of defeats is erased from subject world databases. Peter gestured for the Nigma commander to step forward. Tell them. With visible reluctance, Vexitaler addressed the Tellurian. Governor Zinn, by order of Nigma High Command, all Nigma forces are to withdraw from Telluria immediately. Your world is released from service to the Empire. The governor's mouth opened in shock. This is a test of our loyalty, isn't it? No test, Peter assured him. The Nigma Empire attempted to conquer Earth. They failed. Now they're making amends. To prove their intentions, the 3 ships transmitted the full record of the battle at Earth. The Tellurian leadership watched in stunned silence as the mighty Nigma fleet was systematically taken apart by Earth's hidden forces. When the transmission ended, celebrations had already begun in the streets of the Tellurian capital. The pattern repeated across 12 more worlds over the next 3 months. Each planet reacted with initial disbelief, then overwhelming joy as Nigma forces departed. Earth established diplomatic relations with each freed world, offering protection and technology to help them rebuild. Back on Earth, the United Nations created a new division, the Interstellar Protection Alliance. Its mission was to ensure no empire like the Nigma could ever threaten free worlds again. Admiral Cooper oversaw the training of officers from Earth and the freed planets. "We don't seek to replace one empire with another," he told them. "Each world governs itself. We simply stand together against those who would conquer." Meanwhile, Danielle Wright made a troubling discovery while continuing to study Nigma records. "Admiral," she said during an emergency meeting, "we found references to something called the Homeworld Contingency in the Nigma military codes." "What is it?" he asked. "We're not entirely sure, but it appears to be some kind of doomsday protocol if the Empire faces extinction." This was concerning enough that Cooper ordered Captain Russell to question Vexitaler directly. The Nigma commander had become more cooperative over time, seeing the benefits of peace over conquest. "The Homeworld Contingency," Vexitaler explained, after some hesitation, "is our final defense. If the Empire appears to be falling, the Emperor can activate planet-killer weapons targeting all conquered worlds." "They would destroy their own empire?" Peter asked in disbelief. "The philosophy is simple. If we cannot have these worlds, no one will." This information was immediately relayed to Earth. The response was swift. Admiral Cooper assembled a special strike team led by Commander Samantha Jones. Their mission: infiltrate the Nigma homeworld and disable the contingency weapons before they could be activated. The Nigma homeworld, Primius, was located at the center of their territory. It was a massive planet with 3 moons, all heavily fortified. "Getting past their defenses won't be easy," Samantha told her team as they studied the approach. "But we have 2 advantages they don't expect." The first advantage was technology. Earth vessels could use their quantum displacement drives to appear directly in orbit around Primius, bypassing the defensive perimeter. The second advantage was Supreme Commander Vextaler himself. He had agreed to accompany them and provide access codes and protocols. "Why are you helping us?" Samantha asked him as they prepared for the mission. Vexitaler was quiet for a moment. "In 50 years of service to the Empire, I have seen countless worlds conquered. I have watched civilizations fall and species go extinct. I was taught this was the natural order, the strong rule the weak." He looked out the viewport at the stars. "But Earth has shown me another way. You were strong enough to defeat us, yet you choose cooperation over domination. It is a better path." The mission launched in secret. 3 small Earth vessels, designed for stealth and speed, disappeared from the solar system and reappeared near Primius's smallest moon. Using Vextaler's codes, they bypassed the automated defenses and landed near the Contingency Control Center, a massive underground facility beneath the Imperial Palace. "The Emperor rarely leaves the palace," Vexitaler warned as they prepared to infiltrate. "He will be surrounded by elite guards." Samantha nodded. "We're not here for the Emperor, only the weapons." The team moved through the facility like shadows. Earth's stealth technology made them nearly invisible to Nigma sensors. When they reached the central control room, they planted specialized devices designed by Earth scientists. "These will gradually degrade the targeting systems," Samantha explained. "If they try to activate the weapons, they'll fail without anyone knowing why." They were nearly finished when alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. "We've been detected," one of the team said. Samantha looked to Vextaler. "Is there another way out?" The Nigma commander hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me." He led them through a series of maintenance tunnels toward an auxiliary hangar. They were nearly there when they encountered a patrol of Nigma elite guards. "Supreme Commander," the lead guard said in shock. "You are with intruders?" Vextaler stepped forward. "These are representatives of Earth. They are here under my authority." The guards looked confused. They had been bred and trained to obey the chain of command without question, and Vex's Taller was still technically their superior. "Stand aside," he ordered. To Samantha's relief, they did. The team reached their vessels and departed before the palace could organize a proper response. As they quantum jumped back to Earth, Samantha turned to Vex Talar. That could have gone very badly. The Nigma commander's skin rippled with colors that she had learned indicated amusement. The Empire has always relied on absolute obedience. It is both our greatest strength and our fatal weakness. When they returned to Earth, Admiral Cooper was waiting. The mission was successful. The contingency weapons have been neutralized, Samantha confirmed. And we've learned something important. The Nigma Empire is already crumbling from within. News of Earth's victory had spread faster than they anticipated. Throughout the Empire, subject worlds were beginning to resist. Without the fear of the planet-killer weapons, they saw hope for the first time in generations. The Nigma Empire that had stood for 1,000 years was collapsing in a matter of months, and it had all started because they ignored a simple warning from a planet they thought was weak. 6 months after Earth's victory over the Nigma fleet, the galaxy was a very different place. Over 40 worlds had declared their independence from the once mighty empire. Trade routes formed between the free planets, and cultural exchanges flourished. Earth stood at the center of this new alliance, not as a ruler but as a protector. Admiral Cooper looked out the window of the space station, Unity, built in Earth orbit as the headquarters of the Interstellar Protection Alliance. Representatives from 23 former Nigma worlds were gathered for the first official summit. "I never imagined we would see anything like this in our lifetime," Danielle Wright said, joining him at the window. "Neither did I," the Admiral admitted. First contact was supposed to be a cautious exchange of messages over decades. Instead, we got an invasion and then this. Below them, Earth shone blue and beautiful. Ships from a dozen different worlds moved through the orbital lanes, their designs as varied as the species that created them. In the main conference room, Richard Grayson led the discussions on a unified defense protocol. The Tellurian representative, Governor Zinn, had become one of Earth's strongest allies. "Before the Nigma conquered us, we had begun developing a planetary shield," the blue-skinned alien explained. "With Earth's technology, we could adapt this for all member worlds." Captain Peter Russell had been promoted to oversee the joint fleet operations. The combined knowledge of the freed worlds had accelerated technological development beyond what any single planet could have achieved alone. The quantum displacement drives have been successfully installed in the first 10 Alliance vessels, he reported to the Council. "We can now respond to any threat anywhere in Allied space within hours, not weeks." But while the Alliance grew stronger, the core Nigma Empire was in chaos. With each passing day, more worlds broke away. The Emperor had gone into hiding, and the central government had collapsed. Supreme Commander Vex Talar, now serving as a liaison between Earth and the former Nigma worlds, brought troubling news to Admiral Cooper. "The most hardline military leaders have retreated to the fortress world of Caltus," he said. "They are gathering ships and weapons, preparing for what they call the Great Reconquest." Cooper frowned. "How many ships? How many worlds remain loyal to them?" "Perhaps 15 ships, of significant size. 7 worlds still acknowledge imperial rule, though most do so out of fear rather than loyalty." The Admiral considered this information. "We could crush them easily, but that would make us no better than they were." "What then?" Vex Talar asked. "We offer them a choice." The offer was delivered by Commander Samantha Jones. Her ship, accompanied by a small fleet of Alliance vessels, arrived at Caltus 1 week later. The remaining Nigma leaders were bunkered in a massive fortress built into a mountain. General Drevkor, the most senior Nigma military leader still fighting, responded to their hail with contempt. "The Empire does not negotiate with traitors or aliens," he spat. "Vex Talar is a disgrace to the Nigma name." Samantha remained calm. "We are not here to negotiate. We are here to give you a choice. Join the Alliance as equals or face the consequences of continued aggression," the general laughed. "You think your puny alliance frightens us? The Empire has ruled for 1,000 years. We will rule for 1,000 more. You haven't been paying attention, Samantha replied. The Empire is already gone. She transmitted the latest data. Across the former Nigma space, Imperial symbols were being removed. Statues of emperors toppled. The history of 1,000 years of conquest was ending not with a great final battle, but with worlds simply choosing a different path. This is your final warning, Samantha said. Earth does not make threats lightly. The general cut the transmission. Admiral Cooper received the news with resignation. They've made their choice. Prepare the demonstration. The Alliance fleet moved, away from Caltus, taking up positions at a safe distance. From the lead ship, Samantha sent one final message to the planet. All civilian personnel should move to the designated safe zones immediately. What follows is not directed at the Nigma people, only at those who would continue the cycle of conquest. On her command, 5 small devices were launched toward Caltus. They were not weapons in the traditional sense. They carried no explosives, no radioactive material. Instead, they contained the most sophisticated technology Earth had developed: gravity manipulators. The devices positioned themselves around the mountain fortress and activated. The effect was precise and unstoppable. In a controlled gravitational collapse, the entire fortress imploded, sinking into the ground. The mountain folded in on itself, creating a perfectly smooth crater. There were no casualties. The Nigma soldiers and leaders inside had been transported out moments before by hidden quantum displacement fields. They now found themselves sitting, unharmed but confused in an open field, their weapons gone, their fortress erased as if it had never existed. General Drevcore looked up to see Samantha Jones standing before him. That was just 5 small devices, she said quietly. Earth has thousands. This is why we warned your fleet. This is why we asked you to leave our system, not out of fear, but because we did not wish to use what we had created. The general had no response. 1 month later, the last Nigma holdout worlds joined the Alliance. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for a millennium was gone, not destroyed but transformed. On Earth, a small ceremony marked the official end of the conflict. Admiral Cooper and the Leadership Council gathered at the original Deep Space monitoring station where Danielle Wright had first detected the Nigma signal. It began here, Admiral Cooper said, with a warning ignored. It ends here, with a lesson learned. Olivia Martinez had made a breakthrough in understanding the neural modifications of the Nigma. We can reverse the process, she explained. It will take time. But future generations of Nigma children can be born without the engineered drive for conquest. Fexus Taller, hearing this, seemed to stand taller. Then my people have a future beyond the Empire. All our peoples do. Richard B. Grayson agreed. In orbit above Earth, the Unity Station grew as new modules were added for each member world. The quantum network expanded, connecting planets that once feared each other but now shared knowledge freely. Captain Peter Russell prepared for his next mission, exploring beyond the borders of known space, not to conquer but to discover. Will he still maintain the policy of appearing less advanced than we are? Admiral Cooper told him. Some lessons are too valuable to forget. Peter nodded. And the warning? The same as before, the Admiral replied. Any hostility toward Earth or our allies will be met with force beyond comprehension. But now the galaxy understood this was not an empty threat. Earth had proven itself a sleeping giant, one that preferred peace but was fully prepared for war. The Nigma Empire had ignored Earth's warning. Now they were gone, and the stars were safer for it.